Hi, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Realty Check. I'm your host, Trish Williams. Thank you for joining us today. And again, if you guys are watching the show, please share it with your friends. Please take a minute to send us a review, and you can follow us on iTunes, download our podcast so you'll get notified every week as soon as we have a new episode released. Today we have a very special guest with us. A lot of people will come to me and say, hey, you're in real estate. That looks like it's a lot of fun. What's it like? How do you get into the real estate industry? And not only how do you get into it, how do you become successful in it? It's not a common fact or common knowledge, but many people that start in real estate quit after their first year. It's too overwhelming. It's so much more than they expected, and they don't become successful. So the key to having a successful career is having a good training, good guidance, a good coach. And this morning we have Julie Connell of Keller Williams, the marketplace. And Julie is the productivity coach. Julie helps new agents get started. She helps them get productive. She helps them learn the industry so that they have the tools they need to succeed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julie.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me on the show.
I'm excited to have you here. So, Julie, you're doing really amazing things, and I've seen over the years that I've been in real estate, I've witnessed new agents, and they're lost.
Yes.
I do try to take time sometimes to help people or guide them, answer questions, but it's so overwhelming. What they teach you in school, school is great, but what they teach you in real estate school is not what you need to do, not everything you need to know to be successful.
Exactly.
So they teach you the rules. They don't teach you the productivity part of it. So what I've seen you do and the success rates that I've seen of the new agents that have come through your program are really amazing. So congratulations.
Well, thank you.
Kudos for that. You've been doing a great job.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So Julie, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into real estate?
Well, I didn't start out my career thinking real estate, first and foremost. I think initially I was, graduated from college sort of wondering, what am I going to do with my life? Right. And someone said, hey, I'm going to paralegal school. So I ended up going to this paralegal program, and that's where I first got introduced to real estate. And I thought, wow, this is really, really interesting. But I wasn't thinking of it in terms of sales at that time in my life. So I got into real estate paralegal work in Manhattan initially. I worked there for many years. And I evolved into the real estate franchising industry. I worked for a large franchisor for many years. I ended up being a Northeast regional trainer for them. So I was teaching real estate for many years before I actually got into full-time sales.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and like many people, markets shift. Like we're kind of in a big shift right now, right? There's major changes affect how we do business. And that happened to me. It impacted my career that I absolutely loved. In 2008. Oh. So I ended up finding myself, like many people right now, on the unemployment line and not knowing where to turn or what to do next. And that's kind of what drives my career today, right? We talked a little bit, you and I, before the show about motivation, right? One of the things that I wanted was control over my finances. I didn't want to feel lost again and feel like, where's my next paycheck coming from? So I decided I'm going to take control of my career, and I got into full-time sales back in 2009. So,
right.
Yeah, so it was an interesting journey to get from college to real estate, but at the same time, now I control my own schedule. I created a life by design as opposed to default, right?
Right.
I think a lot of people too, when change happens in the market like it's happening now, they get caught up in the problem. That's kind of taking over their life. And as a coach, I often say to people, okay, let's focus on the plan, not the problem.
Right. And see the opportunity in it. Every problem has some sort of opportunity in it.
Absolutely. I'm blessed almost by what happened in 2008 because my career as a real estate trainer, as an instructor, as a mentor, as a coach took off from that moment on.
Right. And it actually people that weren't around or in the industry in 2008, you have so much knowledge to give them about what to expect, what happens. You've been through that. So that is, that right there is just super valuable.
Yes.
And it sounds like you have a complete background even prior to being a real estate agent in the real estate industry.
Yeah,
so
I did
the
a lot of
knowledge.
things. I wore a lot of different hats in the real estate world. So I do have a deep understanding of contract law. And as a trainer, I taught pre-licensing for many years, so I've been introduced to a lot of people who are trying to get their career started. So that's where the coaching kind of started. It sort of evolved out of the training.
Right, most definitely, and the knowledge that you have, everything that you've been through. And one thing you said that you mentioned about getting a career, starting a career in sales and making your own, basically making your own paycheck, controlling your own world. That's such a big, I feel like that's such a big misconception maybe that people have, and even myself. I had wanted to get into real estate for, I think really since I was 17 years old.
Wow.
But I didn't do it until 2014.
Wow.
So I'm not going to tell everybody my age here, so we're not going to talk about that.
Me
But
either.
it was many, many years later. So what had stopped me is the fact that, real estate is a commission job.
Absolutely.
And that can be very intimidating to a lot of people. And thinking, I guess, having the mindset that means that you're going to be struggling instead of having the mindset that means that you can set your income. It's you can make your own income. You can make your own abundance out of that.
Absolutely.
There's no limit onto how much you can earn. And that is a misconception, and I wish I would have wrapped my head around that a lot sooner in life instead of being scared away from it.
I agree, yeah. And it is a lot of there is a commitment of your time and a lot of effort that goes into building a business. But if you are being given good direction at the early stages of your career, I think you can make it work.
Right, absolutely. I agree with that too. And at what point did you start coaching? Did you get into real estate right when you got into real estate sales? You started with coaching, or did it take a while before you got into coaching?
I never even thought about coaching until probably about 5 years ago. It's something that I started to say, hey, that might be something I'd like to do. Sort of like a pay it forward. With all my experience, I felt like I could make a difference in people's lives, and that's where I'm at right now. So I obviously, started in 2009. I sold real estate successfully for about 7 or 8 years in New Jersey, and then I moved here 5 years ago. So I kind of started my career all over again. I started from that point. A lot of people, I think, feel when they move here from somewhere else, they say, well, I don't know anybody. How could I do real estate? Well, I'm sitting here to tell you that you can. So I got my license here in the state of Nevada, and while I was in the real estate school, I was approached by somebody about teaching because they heard about my background in teaching prior to 2008. And so I started teaching at the real estate school. That led to the brokerage that I was working with at the time finding out, hey, your background might lend itself well to becoming a mentor for our agents. Would you like to do something in that area? And I said, absolutely, sign me up right now.
Yeah.
So that's where it started. So really, I'm grateful for that opportunity. It got me started in that coaching or mentorship role that I was kind of thinking I wanted. And over 4.5 years, 5 years now, I think I'm going on 5 years, I've been doing it successfully. So I've probably coached, I'm pushing about 160 agents in the past 5 years.
Oh, wow.
And it's been an interesting journey. I mean, some people have taken off, their careers are, they're doing great things. And as Trish said, some people find out that real estate's not for them. And so one of the things I wanted to mention is that coaching doesn't work unless you do. So I can't make anybody successful, but what I can do is I can help guide you in the right direction, to teach you the things that you need to do to make this business successful, how to lead generate, for example, how to overcome objections. I can teach you how to write contracts and how to say, how to talk to your clients when challenges are, you're faced with various challenges. But ultimately, the work you have to put in, the time, it comes from you, and I'm there to help you every step of the way.
Right. And that you mentioned that, you know, a lot of people don't, they find out real estate's not for them, you know, once they get started. And again, when I started in real estate, my idea of what it would be, and I think a lot of people think this, it sounds so silly looking back now, but I was like, okay, I'm going to get a real estate license and then sign up with a great brokerage and show houses, you know, open doors, show houses, you know, smile, and then, you know, and then make money, and then go on to the next. And the brokers, someone's going to call me every time someone needs a home. Yeah. And it just, and no, the actual business is a lot different than that. Very much different. And it is building a business. It's sticking to a schedule.
Yes.
It's staying on task. And not only that, I feel like mentally and mindset, I've grown so much just personally being in the real estate industry than I would have in any job, in any career, you know, because you go through life, and most people do. You have a job, you have a career, and you just do what you do, but you never really do a lot of growth. You never really, you might get a promotion or something like that, but your mindset, mentally, you never do, you never grow a lot. And in the real estate industry, and I think it's in our world, in Keller Williams, really, not, you know, just to give an extra plug to Keller Williams, I really do think a lot lot positive mindset is just because of the world that Keller Williams provides to their agent, the culture. But it's just so much growth overall, and growth that is not just in business, but it overflows into your family, into your personal life, and it's amazing.
It is, and I think a lot of people, like you were saying, you know, they think it's going to be easy. They watch a lot of home and garden TV, and they think you show 3 houses and they pick one and they get it. And it doesn't always happen that way. You know, we're experiencing a lot of change in our market right now. We have very low inventory. Buyers are finding themselves fighting over houses, and that's where agents run into trouble because they don't have a lot of experience early on. And in order to, you know, make sure that their buyer's offer is put in the highest position, you know, the best position, sometimes it takes a little knowledge of, you know, negotiating tactics. So I teach a lot of those things to help them achieve success. You know, if they're going to lose deal after deal after deal, they're going to get discouraged and they're going to leave the industry. Right. So success early on is critical, and so choosing the right brokerage, hiring a coach or a mentor is probably a really important step in your early stages of your career.
Right. And here's another thing, like we talk a lot about coaching new agents, starting off with new agents and coaching new agents. Yes. Is that the only, do you have to be a new agent to join the productivity coaching program? Absolutely not. In fact, you know, since I changed brokerages recently, I moved to Keller Williams, I've noticed that agents at very high levels, I mean, top agents in the industry that are doing dozens, if not hundreds of transactions a year are actually hiring coaches. Yeah. So primarily, I'm working with individuals who are right out of real estate school, probably in their first 3 to 5 years. I've got a few people who've hired me because they could see their careers sort of stalled. You know, maybe they've done 4 or 5 transactions, 6 transactions a year. But that's not where they want to be. They want to be better than that. They want to get to a next level. So they've actually hired me to help them basically hold them accountable. It's almost like, I liken it to when you have, you know, one of those Fitbits or something on your wrist. It's telling you how many steps you're taking. Well, if we don't know what your goals are, we don't know what activity it's going to take to achieve those goals. If we're not tracking your numbers closely, then we have no idea if we're winning, right? Right. It's playing a football game without a scorecard, without a scoreboard. Right. And how do you know who's winning, or if you're winning, or if you're ahead, if you have no goals, if you have nothing, you're not tracking your points. Right. So one of the first things I do when I meet with a new client is we have what's called a needs analysis meeting. And part of that process is asking them, what do they want? What do they want out of real estate? In fact, more importantly, why? I think that's really important, right? Why did you get into real estate? Yes. And some people just say, oh, because I thought it would be fun, or, oh, I want to make $100,000. Well, that's great, and you can.
but how are you going to get there? So they have no concept of what it's going to take to get there. So we break down those goals, and your goals are your goals. I'm not going to tell you what to do or how to, set your goals or your financial goals. But I certainly, once you tell me what those are, we can work backwards. We can start to break down how many transactions is it going to take for you to earn that kind of income? How much commission do you need to earn after cost of sales? So we break it down and we take out tax dollars, we take out commission splits, for example. And once we get, what's left is what we call the net, right? So if they want to net $100,000, how much do they need to gross? So we work through the numbers together. And we work with, median home sale prices and typical commission levels so that we can come up with some kind of a number. But just knowing how many units you need to close isn't it. I mean, there's more to it than that, right?
Absolutely. And the other thing about it is in sales, you just think like, oh, if I just sell, it's unpredictable. Many people think that sales are unpredictable, but the way that you break it down is these are how many appointments you need to go on. This is how many phone calls or contacts or people you need to talk to get this many appointments. And if you get this many appointments, you should have this many sales, and this should be the result, and this should be your income. It's really breaking it down to where you can wake up every morning and say, this is what I have to do today.
Yeah.
This is, it just like a job. This is what I need to do today. And so often that's where people fail is they don't know what they need to do today. There's no one telling them. No one says, hey, show up at work at 8 o'clock.
Oh, no.
And if you do, you could show up there in the office at 8 o'clock, which I've seen people do this that are, misguided or just to have no direction. They'll show up, but once they're there, they don't know what to do.
Exactly.
What do I do? I'm here, but I don't know what to do now.
Right.
So it's breaking it down and saying, this is what you have to do today. And if you complete this today, and I've talked to people that are, starting off in the industry and, just tried to guide them or help them out, when they have struggles or questions. And that's one of the things that I've told people before is every day, just keep on doing. Don't worry about the results. Don't worry about the closings, the contracts, or anything when you start. Just do your appointments, do your contacts, make your phone calls. Keep on doing that, and it will happen.
I think that's very true. I think it's really consistency is what we're looking for, right?
Absolutely.
It's doing something consistently. And it could be as simple as what we refer to in Keller Williams as the 10-4. Make 10 contacts a day. Add 10 new names to your database. Write 10 handwritten notes and visit 10 properties every single day. If you do that 5 days a week consistently, that would be 200 contacts in a month.
Yeah.
Now, contacts, we are thinking, where do I get these numbers from? Well, some of them are in your phone already. Yeah. And I'm not kidding when I say that 75%, give or take, of every agent that I've worked with gets their first transaction from somebody they know.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's, their mom's friend at work or their next door neighbor's niece. It doesn't have to be somebody you know personally, but somebody who knows somebody. Yeah. So the first thing we work on is getting the word out to your database. Everyone in your phone, everyone on your Facebook feed, getting you established, getting people to think of you differently. I think a lot of folks, for many years do something else, right? They work in the entertainment industry or they're in the hospitality industry. And so everybody, when they think of who they are, they think, oh, he works in hospitality or she's a cocktail waitress at a hotel on the Strip. Well, at some point you need to change that, right? You need to get them thinking that you're in real estate now. And some people don't want to trust you right away. They want to see you have some success.
Right.
So I help people, first of all, we work with agents that are high level, like you in the office, high level producers. And we ask, hey, can we help out? Can we have some of our new agents do an open house at one of your vacant listings? Can they market your listings on their Facebook?
Absolutely.
So it starts, yes, absolutely. And so now people start seeing, they say, hey, this house is for sale. If you want to see it, call me. It's not their listing, it's Trish's listing, but now their Facebook friends are saying, hey, that's great, congratulations. Yeah. Right? They think it's their listing. And they're not saying that it is. They're just saying, I'm in the business, this is what I do now. And it's not just about opening doors. You know, that's what other companies advertise, that's all we do. It's way more than that. It's about the information that we provide, the knowledge, the experience, the level of, again, experience with, not recruiting, with negotiations. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, negotiations.
Yeah, experience in understanding how a transaction works, you know, making sure deadlines are met so buyers don't lose their earnest money deposits. Making sure that they get a fair deal, basically, and they're not overpaying for a house. So all that knowledge will come in time, but it's building the business that is really the critical part of it. So it takes anywhere from up to maybe 90 days to get your first commission check, possibly, and maybe more. It depends on the effort that you put in at the very early stage.
I think it took me about 90 days before I had my first actual sale when I got started. And yeah, it does. It takes time. And another thing that you mentioned that I think is important is when you first get started, you want to make sure that everybody knows you're a realtor. This is what I do. And one of the things that I think is that I've found early on, which has helped me build my business, is it's so important that everybody knows that. Doesn't mean you're selling them. So when I talk to a friend or a family member, I'm in real estate, I want to make sure they know that. That doesn't mean like, hey, you're comfortable in your house, sell your house right now, and I'm trying to push you into selling and buying a house. Absolutely not. I just want you to know when you're ready, I'm here. If there's ever a time, you know, that's what you do, because people will keep that in mind. Like, for instance, if you have a friend that's a bartender and say you needed to learn how to make a drink, probably going to call your friend that's a bartender and ask questions, right?
Exactly.
Right, because you know that that's what they do. And that's the same thing, that's so much, it's that simple. And people try to complicate things, and it really is, I think, that simple. Just letting everybody know what you do, and it will eventually come, because when they have a real estate question or a real estate need, they're going to say, oh yeah, my friend so-and-so is a realtor.
Right, that's exactly right. I mean, I get business that way too. So I still do a little bit of individual, you know, transactions here and there, just to kind of keep my feet wet and to help out friends and family. But primarily my business is helping others achieve their goals in business. So, but, you know, I met somebody at a dog park 5 years ago, and I've stayed in touch. I mean, it's about follow-up. I think this is this is more of a relationship business than it is sales. It is. It is, right? I think that's what we need to focus on. And I think a lot of people get into the industry thinking they're going to be bothering their friends if they call them. And as Trish pointed out, that's not what we do. What we do is we let people know that we're in the industry, that we have a certain amount of information and great knowledge of the industry and, you know, market data that might be interesting to them that we could share. But mostly we're just reaching out to say, hi, how's life? You know, how are things going? And ultimately the conversation comes back, how are you? How is your life going? And you start to say, oh, you know, our work has been good. You know, the market's been interesting this year because of COVID, but it's still very strong. And you get into that. People want to know about the market all the time. So we stay on top of understanding the market and how it's moving. And be able to have that conversation with anybody, whether you're standing online at the, you know, Smith's, or if you're, you know, standing next to somebody at a dog park. Whenever you can have that 5-second conversation about real estate, it puts it in their mind. Right, and a relationship business, as you mentioned, is exactly what this is, because it's not. I tell people this all the time, even though I am, you know, like a top producer in sales. I'm a horrible salesperson. Like, don't ask me to be pushy on anything I'm not. It's just not in my DNA. It's just not, I can't do it. I'm not. But I am, you know, I am knowledgeable. People do, people that work with me, they know they can trust me. They understand, you know, what to expect from me. And they, you know, I obviously get a lot of referral business. So they tell people about me. It's not sales. No. We're not, you know, we're not the slimy salespeople that everybody thinks we are, or car salesmen or anything. I mean, I wonder if car salesmen even deserve their reputation after being in real estate and hearing, you know, all the comparisons. Hearing the comparisons. I'm like, that's not what we do. No. I'm sure there's those people. And you know, we've had co-op agents that we've dealt with. I'm sure you have too at times. And you're like, oh, those are the people that they keep comparing us to. But we don't want to be compared to those. Yeah, we don't. No. They're so, and they are so
fewer than the good agents that are out there. And that's not, we're not pushy salespeople. And it is, we guide them, we let them know they're in good hands, we look out for their best interest. What we do to benefit our clients is so much in their favor than it is against them, that it's, I feel like that there needs to be a whole new PSA for real estate agents out there, because of what we do. So, so your coaching program is with Keller Williams in the marketplace, and is so are you the your coaching program? Do the agents have to be part of the marketplace in over in Green Valley and Corporate Circle to join the program?
Yes.
Okay.
So one of the things that I would encourage you to do if you are interested in a career in real estate is to reach out to Trish or to myself, and just say, hey, I'm interested in a career in real estate. And we'll invite you to come in. We have career nights once a month. They're on Zoom, so you can do them safely from home. We can also arrange for a safe, one-on-one scheduled meeting in the office, where we talk about everything from what real estate schools are out there, what do they charge, how long does the process take to get your license. I think a lot of people underestimate how much it costs to get into business as a real estate agent. And really, because of that 90 days we were talking about earlier, before you might get your first commission check, we also want to make sure that you are positioning yourself financially safely, so that you have money securely in the bank, so you can work those 90 days and either keep your job while you're doing real estate. You can do both, and then you can eventually transition full-time into real estate. Some people have part-time jobs. We have Uber drivers that, sell real estate. So they're trying to supplement their income until they can kind of get things up and running steadily. So that's my goal, is to get you to a point where you can quit your day job and go full-time in the business.
Yes, and it was, and I remember when I was at that point, after it was about 3 months that I was in the business, and I was starting to do some business and get started. When I started, there was not a productivity coaching program, but there was a mentor program, which was very similar, very much the same. And that was starting off. I mean, that's so valuable, because you have somebody that has knowledge, that has been there before, done this before, and can show you the way. And it just, I can't even say priceless. It is. Early people don't understand too about the commission splits when they first get into the business. And there's companies out there that'll say, "Oh, why pay fees? Like we charge 100. You get 100% of your commission, and we only charge a small flat fee." Well, the trouble with those companies is you're on your own. You have no one to support you. You don't really have much help. Obviously, the broker is going to help answer a few questions. But when you hire a coach, yes, you're going to pay some fees, right? There's going to be a little extra money going in. It's almost like going to, after you finish your real estate school, it's like going to, a program to get a master's degree in real estate, right? You're going to pay a little extra for that. So you're going to get the knowledge and the understanding to make sure that you don't burn out after 12 months and decide not to renew your license. But from the experience, from being down that road, the fees are nothing. The fees are nothing. For a start, it is priceless. For the start of a career, for the building the business, I mean, when I look back at, just the income, the business, the success that I've had, I wouldn't have had it if I hadn't started off on the right foot. And 100% is great, but 100% is zero is zero. It's true. It's not. It doesn't matter. You have to look at the value that you're being offered, that you're being provided. It's not. You can't put a price tag on it. And the fees, when you look back at building a business, if you were to start up any business, if you were to start up a Krispy Kreme, you're going to have fees. You're going to have things. There's going to be a entry fee.
Absolutely, and a lot more than real estate.
Well, yeah, a lot more than real estate. Yeah. But you have to look at this. You're not just trying to get a commission check. You're building a business, and you need to invest in your business and take it seriously. And that's how you will have success. If you start off on the right foot, you start building a successful business and treating it like it is a business that you're going to be in for the long term, you're going to care about. Those little fees are they're nothing. They're nothing that that you should even even blink over. And if that's really, I feel like that's probably one of the biggest mistakes people make, is focusing on that rather than focusing on what they're trying to do for themselves.
Right. It's the difference between building a business by accident versus on purpose.
Right.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And doing it transactional. And as a consumer, no one wants to deal with a transactional anything. You know, if someone's doing your, you know, anything for you, if you hire someone to do your landscape, for instance, you don't want to feel like, oh, you're one of 10 this week and we don't care who you are, right?
Yeah.
It's transactional.
Yep.
So starting to go into the business, being really focused on those fees, you're starting with a transactional mindset that you really need to get out of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's a great business. I love it. I mean, you've done really well. The last 5 years since I moved here, I've had the best 5 years in my real estate career since I moved here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, and yes, we have a great culture. We have a great world. Keller Williams, our office is over in Green Valley off of Corporate Circle, and we have an amazing office. So we just have everybody there is very helpful. They're very friendly. We have such a great environment, such great culture. If you do want to look into a career in real estate, and even if you want to ask questions, call me. Call Julie. We can always have a conversation with you. We can always answer questions and tell you, you know, just guide you the right way, and you can decide if it's right for you or not. And definitely, I highly recommend, if you're starting in real estate, or even if you're in real estate and you're struggling, you need to really consider productivity coaching. And I think Julie's an amazing coach. She has the background. She has the experience. I wouldn't want it any other way. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, this was fun. Thanks.
Yes, this was fun. Thank you for being on the show today. You guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you next week on Thursday. And if you are liking the show, please share, please download, and please send us some reviews. Thanks for joining Realty Check. I'm your host, Trish Williams. See you next week.